Have you ever felt like you're pouring your heart and soul into something, only to have the world turn a blind eye? If you've ever felt overlooked or unappreciated, then this story is for you. It's about a young artist named Arjun and a twist of fate that changed his life forever. Arjun was a painter, a true artist in every sense of the word. His studio was a small, humble room, but inside, canvases exploded with color and emotion. Yet, despite his incredible talent, recognition was a distant dream. The world, it seemed, was too busy to notice the magic he was creating with his brushes. But there was one person who always saw it: Meera, his childhood friend. He was his rock, his constant source of encouragement. "Arjun," she'd say with a smile that could light up the darkest room, "your art will touch someone's soul one day. I just know it." Her words were like a lifeline, keeping his hope afloat in a sea of indifference. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, Arjun stumbled upon an announcement that made his heart race: a major art contest. The prize wasn't just money. It was a life-changing opportunity, a chance to finally be seen. This was it. This was his moment. He decided to pour every single ounce of himself into one masterpiece. He didn't just paint a picture, he painted his journey. He layered the canvas with every emotion he had ever felt: the sting of loneliness, the warmth of hope, the ache of love, and the emptiness of loss. His brush danced across the canvas, guided by his soul. For weeks, he worked tirelessly, forgetting to eat, forgetting to sleep. The painting became his confession, his diary, his prayer. It was more than just art, it was his very essence. Finally, the day of the contest arrived. The gallery was filled with a hushed tension, a mix of ambition and anxiety. Arjun stood in the corner, his hands trembling slightly, his eyes fixed on the judges as they moved from one artwork to another. Their faces were unreadable, their expressions a blank canvas. He watched them pause in front of his painting. Time seemed to slow down. He held his breath, every fiber of his being screaming for them to see what he had poured onto that canvas. Then the announcement came. The winners were called one by one. First place, second, third, and then silence. Arjun's name was never called. The silence in the gallery was deafening, but the noise inside his head was a storm. It felt like a physical blow, knocking the air out of his lungs. All those sleepless nights, all that hope, all that vulnerability he had laid bare on the canvas, it felt like it was all for nothing. Crushed, he felt the weight of every rejection he had ever faced come crashing down on him. Meera was right there, her hand finding his in the crowd. She squeezed it gently. "Sometimes life has its own plan, Arjun," she whispered, her voice a soothing balm on his wounded spirit. Her words were kind, but at that moment, they offered little comfort. He felt like a failure. That evening, a wave of frustration and defiance washed over Arjun. He looked at his masterpiece, the painting that held his entire world, and refused to let it be condemned to the shadows of his studio. If the so-called experts in the gallery couldn't see its value, maybe ordinary people would. So, he did something unconventional. He took his painting, his raw, emotional heart on a canvas, and set it up on a busy public street. He didn't ask for money or attention. He just wanted it to be seen. And then, something magical began to happen. People walking by, lost in their own worlds, started to stop. A woman on her phone lowered it, her eyes fixed on the canvas. A businessman rushing to a meeting slowed his pace, captivated. A group of students gathered around, whispering in awe. They saw what the judges had missed. They saw the pain, the hope, the love, the loss. They saw themselves. They felt it. The painting wasn't just an object on an easel anymore. It was a conversation, a shared human experience. Just as the evening crowd began to grow, a well-dressed man who had been observing from a distance walked over. He had an air of quiet authority, introduced himself as a world-renowned art collector, someone whose opinion could make or break careers. He had been on his way to a dinner but found himself completely mesmerized, drawn in by the raw, unfiltered emotion radiating from the canvas. He didn't just see a painting, he saw a story. He saw a soul. Without a moment's hesitation, he bought the painting right there on the spot, for a sum that made Arjun's head spin. But it didn't stop there. He offered Arjun something far more valuable: a solo exhibition at his prestigious gallery. It was a dream beyond anything Arjun had ever dared to imagine. Here comes the twist you won't see coming. The very next day, as Arjun was still trying to process the whirlwind of events, his phone rang. It was the gallery that had rejected him, contest organizers. Having heard about the sale and the buzz his street-side display had created, they were now calling to offer him a featured spot in their gallery. The irony was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Arjun listened politely, a slow smile spreading across his face. He thanked them for the offer, but politely declined. In that moment, he realized something profound. True success wasn't about getting validation from the gatekeepers or winning a contest. It wasn't about fitting into a box that others had created. Success had found him when he stopped chasing it, when he chose to be authentic, and when he had the courage to share his true self with the world on his own terms. His journey wasn't a straight line to the top. It was a winding road filled with rejection and disappointment. But every twist and turn had led him exactly where he needed to be. Arjun's story is a powerful reminder for all of us. When you face rejection, don't let it define you. Where the door you're knocking on doesn't open, maybe it's not your door. Sometimes you have to build your own. Trust in your unique voice, stay true to who you are, and keep putting your work out there, even when it feels like no one is watching. Because you never know when a random street corner might become your grand stage. And when life's most unexpected twists will lead you to a success that is more meaningful and authentic than you ever could have planned. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this time with me. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content that I hope will inspire and uplift you. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Till next time, keep creating, keep believing, and trust your journey.